Gentlemen, take 3. How are we?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great.
Yeah.
My mic isn't crackling anymore, right, Alex?
It is not.
Okay, we're all back in our normal homes. We're not recording on campus with faulty technology. Hopefully, we sorted everything out before we started recording. I think we're good. I hope
good.
so.
We're good. We're good.
Just making sure none of us have energy-saving lights that will go off in 20 minutes, right?
That is,
Good
I thought that was pretty funny watching it back, to be honest.
It was hilarious.
Yes.
Anyway, it's time to talk about some hockey, guys. And, well, we care about 2 teams, especially on this podcast, and they just happened to play last night. It's the Leafs and the Habs. Before we do that, though, surprise, surprise, Charles Leclerc, championship lead in F1. Max Verstappen, he didn't crash, but, 2 DNFs for Red Bull to start the year for their main driver. The reigning champion, even though he didn't deserve to win, human error. Suck it. Charles is winning. Let's go.
Did you stay up for it?
No. Absolutely not. I went to bed as Carlos Sainz his race ended early. And I was like, okay, Adam. I went to bed and I saw Charles was winning, and I thought, okay, we're good. Hopefully I wake up and everything's good. And I woke up and I saw he won. So it's good. I rewatched it when I woke up though. And it was fun. A bit of a boring race besides some of the DNFs, but it's Australia. It's normally a little meh.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hockey. Did you see? Actually, wait. Hold on. Daniel, did you see what Alex Albano did?
No. What happened?
So there's a rule in F1 where you have to use at minimum two different tire compounds. Unless it rains and it's a bit different. So Alex Albon, went all but one race on one set of tires. Didn't pit until the last lap of the race. But I think Vettel did a couple years ago when he was with Red Bull, and got a point with Williams, which was I don't know if he got driver of the day, but yeah, he went from I think it was 20th to 10th. So your boy Alex Albano looked great.
Alex Albon.
Albano. No, they call him Albano.
Okay.
It's a thing from when they were like a bunch of them used to like Twitch stream together.
Okay.
Like Leclerc and that used to call him Alexi Albano. I don't know why, but
You'd love to see that he's back. I'm excited. Laura, when she was on the episode, she called it. She said he's gonna have a bounce back season. So I'm excited for it.
He's already better than Latifi. But then again, everyone is.
It's a low bar. That's a low bar.
Well, yes.
But how profitable is he as a Canadian athlete?
Is he? I don't think he was in the top 10, was he?
No, he wasn't.
He was probably 11th.
He'll make it,
which wouldn't surprise me, right? But,
yeah.
No, me too.
What a list. So
going into the Leafs and Habs game, first off, Daniel, did you watch any of the pre-show yesterday on Hockey Night?
I didn't get to. So what happened was I went to the Jays game.
Okay.
And then my friends and I are like, hey, we're already in the area at 6:30. Let's try to go to the Habs game. Check Ticketmaster and StubHub. Tickets start at like $376. We're probably just going to go to a bar and watch it. So I watched the game, but I didn't watch the pregame.
Okay, fair enough.
You should have gone to the Scalpers like 10 minutes before the game started.
I have a funny story about that. So there were a few scalpers there. They're like, hey, Leafs tickets. Who wants Leafs tickets? And then they saw our bobblehead. We got the George Springer bobblehead.
Right.
As one of the giveaways. One of the first really great giveaways of the Blue Jays season. And the guy's like, hey, if you give us 2 bobbleheads, we'll give you 1 Leafs ticket. But there were like 6 of us.
Did you take it?
It's not a bad value.
Not bad value, but we wanted to stay together. So I watched the game, but no pregame.
Wait, sorry. How many of you were there?
There were 6 of us.
Okay, fair. You would have only got 3 tickets.
Yeah,
I'm going to the Leafs Caps game this week.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Sorry, we're gonna go get to the game. But funny thing, when I mentioned to Adam and Alex that a few Habs were at the game, including Carey Price.
Yep.
A lot of people in my section. I was in the 100th level section.
Yeah.
There were people with Cole Caulfield jerseys.
Really?
Yeah, watching the Blue Jays game.
Man, they always go on about Leafs fans travels. Us Habs fans, we go too. Don't worry. I just love wearing Caulfield jerseys. I'll tell you, man, he's going to be the face of the franchise not too far in the future. He's going to, oh my God, the man's style. He's dressing up like Piqué with the suits and the fancy hats going to games. It's wonderful. Oh my goodness.
Good thing Marc Bergevin's not here.
Yeah. Embracing history of the team.
He's embracing PK Subban. Can you imagine if PK was around with like the Chantal Mackenbase or the Ren PR of the Canadians? Anyway, the reason I asked about the pre-show is I only got to watch sort of the back half of it. So I don't know if Hockey Night mentioned it. And I want to be careful because if they didn't, I think I would be ashamed if I were them if I didn't. Because yesterday was the 20th anniversary of Saku Koivu's return from cancer, which I think is probably the best ovation the Bell Center has ever given a player. So people go watch it. It's amazing. Go watch it. Really emotional moment. So I wanted to know if they had mentioned it because I think it would be if the former captain of the Montreal Canadiens beating cancer. It's just I really hope they mentioned it. But anyway, it's a game where the Leafs win. It's much more competitive than the previous game they played. I think the big story beside the Leafs clinching a playoff spot, 50 goals in 50, or I think it's about like 51 goals in 50 games for Austin Matthews, which I think someone was saying it's the first time since like the 90s it's happened.
Since Lemieux. That's
insane.
But we're not sure if it counts because it wasn't the first 50 games of the season. So
I thought that was the margin. But like again, who cares? It's still 50.
Yeah, it's still 51 and 50.
50
it's still
games.
Insane. It's more difficult.
Are we really going to be that petty about it too? I get it, but like just an FYI, not you guys. We can be petty about this. That's fine. But again, in a few years, when things start to happen, I will equally be as petty about it because I don't care.
What do you mean?
Well, if you're going to be petty about 50 goals in 50 games and say, well, it wasn't the first 50 games. Okay, let's go through the record book. I'm going to start writing records down. And when people start breaking them, I'm going to be equally as petty because I just don't care anymore.
You're gonna
like some bottom feeder teams. I'm a little tired of the smack talk. Not Montreal only. Let me be clear. I'm a little tired of the smack talk. I get it. 5 straight losses in the first round.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you can still enjoy it. I was talking to someone about this.
Loud.
You can still enjoy, like, you have to respect the greatness we're seeing. Listen, I like Austin Matthews as a player. I hate that he's a Leaf. Like, it burns me alive. Once he broke Rick Vaive's record against the Dallas Stars, I was kind of like, sweet. Okay. He won't be doing anything too crazy about the Habs. And I forgot, like, before that, he was already 47 and 47. So once he hit the 50 goal mark and I saw it blow up on Twitter, I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. They're not going to shut up about this for the rest of the game. And they didn't, which was unfortunate.
I'd like to add a different level of pettiness to this.
What?
This is better than 50 in 07.
No, it is not better. No, you can't eat. That's a meme. You can't do that. Well, no, it physically is better, but I saw somebody say it's not as good as 50 in 07. The Danny Heatley memes live forever. But man, would you be surprised if we did it again next year? I mean, I
wouldn't.
Even if this is peak Matthews, like he's on pace to break Ovechkin's 65 or Stamkos' 65 or around there.
Yeah, I think so. Like, we had the discussion at the end of last year before the playoffs started, where it's like he's not gonna have a better chance of putting up an extremely high goal tally, yet he's doing it better this year. Like, math has said he's doing it better this year, which is ridiculous.
It's the time to do it too, because he's in his prime. I mean,
he's 24.
So he's still 2 years technically away. So he's still got, if we're doing and he's an elite player, so it's a little more. So he still has arguably 4 or 5 years of prime Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think of. Like, I know people are starting to talk about maybe he passes Ovechkin's goal totals. I'm like, okay, let's
wait a second.
Let's wait a few years before we start doing that.
Yeah.
Like, have some respect. Like, it took Ovi until like 2 years ago for people to start talking about the goal record seriously. Matthews has to earn that before we let's simmer down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
He'd be like a Patrick Kane comparable maybe when he gets into his 30s. We'll see.
I think he's already better than Kane. It's just he doesn't have the cups. Kane's like the more skilled player, obviously, But I mean, like, I think Matthews, it's very clear. And you remember I had a problem saying you compare Matthews to Keon because Matthews hadn't won anything yet, and you will win the MVP. That debate's done. But like, it's fair to say that Matthews is probably going to be the most talented American-born player ever, which is so weird to say.
Yeah, no, and he's from Arizona. Like
Gary Bettman's just like,
Gary Bettman's just like, look, there's another reason.
Lathering himself in some butter. He's like, oh, it's so good, even though their arena is still empty. Oh my God. And Tepe didn't like the city proposal that much. Oh, shut up, Gary.
God, Gary. Get over yourself, Gary.
He is. Rough game for the Habs. To start, it wasn't great, but they continued and they fought back pretty well. Caulfield scored, so that was pretty okay. If I can be petty Habs fan for a second, I did laugh when immediately after the MVP chants, Cole Caulfield scored.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That did make me funny, and that did make me laugh a little bit. Man, he's
that's not
good.
petty.
Must I say, I saw this tweet from Sportsnet. If he played like this the entire season, Cole Caulfield would be on a 50-goal pace.
90 points too.
Yes, that is insane.
Dominic Ducharme. What am I going to say?
Every time he scores, Ducharme trends. You know the last Hab to win the Calder Trophy was?
Jose Theodore? No.
Not Theodore, no. Alex, you have a guess?
I don't.
Patrick Waugh.
Ken Dryden.
Oh,
jeez.
Was the last Hab to win the Calder, apparently. Ken Dryden. Wow. And now, and then Cole's probably been robbed of it. So I think he's up to 18 goals.
It feels like yesterday.
So what's funny is Suzuki leads the team with 19 goals. Caulfield's at 18. He's one behind the team league. I just wanted to mention that. That's pretty nuts. That's actually insanely nuts. And also very unfortunate. Jake Allen is hurt. Was keeping Montreal in it to start the game, and then in a weird sequence where Matthew scored the first goal, he was hurt. Caden Primo has been called up. Carey Price, though, has been practicing.
He's with fully. The team, right?
Yeah. No, he was at the Jays game, right?
Yeah.
The rest of them.
Yes, he was.
We could see him start tomorrow against the Jets, which I believe is actually the only game on the NHL calendar. The reason I wanted to mention this up, and we're going to shift gears. What?
It's the only.
I'm pretty sure it is. Last time I checked, it was the only game on tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. What is it? So no effect. You understand. We've been told how condensed the schedule is. Yet there's 3 days I've seen in the last month where there's 2 or 3 games.
You know what they've done is I feel like what they've done a lot of the games is they've rescheduled a lot to Sundays the last few weeks. I don't know if that's just me, but it feels like normally we get pretty barren on Sundays, but there's the 1:30 game that's going to start soon between Boston and Washington. I wonder if that's it. Plus, I don't know if they love having Monday games, but it is still kind of weird that it's the only one on the calendar.
Yeah.
But I mean, all eyes should be on that game. And they're like, is there a better time for Price to come back? We're going to circle back and talk about the Leafs and some playoff stuff in a second. I just wanted to get this in because there's more Leafs and Habs stuff to talk about, but maybe we can get there a little later because there is a lot to talk about today. But I really wanted to make this a point because I think it's going to be one of the biggest stories in the league if he comes back because of the year he has had off and on the ice and the struggles he's had. I really hope it's at home and the Bell Center can really give that guy an ovation. And obviously I'm biased because he's my favorite player of all time, but I really hope that when he comes back, people really give it the attention it deserves.
Yeah, no, 100%. Is the game at home? Yes, it is. Sorry, I just wanted to check. He's the story from, from the Cup final, entering the program at the same time, the around him, the team struggling for him to come back and going through injury as well. Obviously, I think it'd be a huge story around the league, but I think more importantly for the team itself. It's going to be a story around the NHL, but I think to have a guy like Carey Price back, and he's been around the team, and obviously now he's on with them on the road trip, I think that's huge. I think that's bigger than anything.
It kind of establishes a lot of things for me in a way that the way the season's been, there's been so many storylines. And finally, when we talk about, the quote unquote new hope of what's going to happen moving on, it's a good storybook ending to this season to just see Carey Price go out there and kind of give a bit more of that enthusiasm, give more of that motivation moving forward. So that would be great.
Listen, Luke needed Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan eventually left the movie. Well, he was there at Force Ghost, but he died, moved on. You need that mentor character. And here's another thing is you would like the Habs to finish, listen, they're currently fighting very hard to stay in the bottom 3 of the draft lottery, right? The standard for this draft, I think, for Habs fans is probably at worst 4th overall, because it feels like this draft is very much, it's the top 4 or the crown jewels. That's what I'm very much hoping for every day. But obviously the team don't like losing. The team want to win. And especially it would be nice, their last game of the year is in Montreal against the Panthers, right? The Panthers will be resting players because I think it's pretty safe to say they've locked up first in the Atlantic. It would be nice if there is obviously the possibility if Carey plays and he gets games in that, it helps a possible trade happening, which I don't want to talk about, but it would just be a nice way to end his career in Montreal, at least. If you can start seeing the next generation of Habs, because let's be honest, if anything, this season has almost been the preview to Habs fans of what hockey is like without Carey Price, which is scary to say for the first time since he made the team in 07, 08?
Yeah, weird feeling, to be honest.
Yeah, man. Makes me want to cry. I'll miss you, buddy. Looking back at the picture behind me. Okay. So, it looks like as of right now, if we look at the standings, that right now the Bruins have a point ahead of Tampa Bay. So for the sake of it, we can just have a jolly old lap and say that the Leafs are playing the Bruins in the first round.
Yep.
I'm not going to trust anyone saying Tampa are falling off, because if you want to count the Lightning out in the first round, you can be that idiot.
Yep.
What are you thinking?
I won't be that guy. I'll tell you that.
Good. But if we look at it, if they face the Bruins in the first round and they can get past them, because I think they are the favorites. If anyone thinks they're the underdog, I've seen people going on about all the Leafs are underdogs. I'm like, what narrative are you trying to make here?
I think, okay. I'm not saying they're the underdogs. I just think obviously there's the history there, and not even just the history with the Bruins, but it is a fact they have not shown up, especially when they weren't underdogs. When they were the favorites, they did not show up against Columbus, against Montreal. They did not show up. It's just, again, there's the history there, but I think Toronto's the better team.
I think back to before the Leafs, the perennial chokers were the Capitals, and I don't think anyone was ever like, do you know what? The Capitals and Kevin Shattenkirk, even though they keep losing in the second round, everyone kept saying it's their year, it's their year, it's their year. Now, once they eventually did win, that was the year when it wasn't them anymore, but that was still that isn't this Leafs team. You have Austin Matthews playing some of the best hockey we've seen in our lifetimes. It's just, people, that's a weird narrative. But so to go back to the original point I wanted to ask you guys is, if they can't get past the Bruins, and I'm not trying to do the whole thing if you look too far ahead, because if the Leafs do that and overlook the Bruins, they will lose. You never do that in sports. It's an awful thing to do. But if they can beat the Bruins, what does that do for their confidence?
Who was it? Paul McLean, right? It was Paul McLean in the documentary.
Yes. Who
said they have demons everywhere, left, right, up, down, in their car, in their bed. And I think it's a fact. Boston definitely contributes to that. Those 2 years where they just couldn't do it. but again, I think it's more of a first round thing than it is a Boston thing. But I think it being Boston in the first round, and if they could beat them, again, like I am convinced that the Leafs issue isn't skill, right? It's not skill. That's right. Like I think it's a mental thing. And I think if you can get past the Bruins, I think that clears up a lot of things. And I think it gives them confidence, because it's just something they haven't been able to do for 5 years. So for them to now do it, I think that'd be huge for them.
For me, I think if they could get past the Bruins, like what Paul McLean said, it is exercising your demons in that aspect, where that's the biggest hurdle, in my opinion, right now. That if you get through the Bruins, I think that established things where a lot of championship teams have said it. Like, once this happened, I knew that we couldn't lose. For example, with the Raptors, when they were technically not favored to beat Philly in 2019, when they beat Philly, they felt like they couldn't lose, even when they went down 2-0 against Milwaukee in the Western Conference Finals. Or even in 2003, when I go back even further, and I know I'm going to be a bit biased with this, but Mike Babcock said, if we could get through the Dynasty Red Wings in the first round, the Mighty Ducks could beat anybody. Well, they didn't beat the Devils, but they got to the finals in that run.
Mm-hmm. Solid example coming with the Philly references. You love to see it. You love to see it. I wasn't expecting that, Daniel, but you did it. But then you brought it back with hockey, and you love to see it. And then what's their reward for beating the Bruins? A Florida team.
Right.
Ooh,
too many familiar faces there. Another narrative.
It would be Florida or Washington. Which again, Washington. Like, I'm not saying Florida. Washington's going to be Florida, but wouldn't that be a story and a half?
What would they be in this cycle? Because you know how we talked about for a while, the Capitals were this underachieving team where they always said it was their year, and then they won it, and then now we're back on this other narrative where it looks like they're not trying, and then they talked about what happened in the bubble, and then we saw them against the Bruins last year. So I just want to know, where are they now in the Capitals? Are they back on the we could win it, or we're back in this they're going to be underachievers again?
Well, it's interesting because if you look right now, and the dynamic in the Metro is the Caps have they're in striking distance of Pittsburgh all of a sudden, because the Penguins have been falling, and then Washington beat Pittsburgh yesterday, and then it's sort of wide open. I think it's very difficult for me to see the Capitals going beyond the round. If they make it to the second, I think it's a massive season for them, because their goaltending is such a question mark. If they start Samsonov at this game, I'm going to be so mad. Start Vitek, please. Listen, Ovechkin should get the same respect that Crosby does, as in you don't count them out. But it's just there's still questions with that team. And like Marcus Johansson finally got a point yesterday from being reacquired. And do you start worrying, is this the answer, bringing back old guys? And is Johan Larsson enough? And yeah, they needed depth, but is it enough in goal is the big question for the Caps. I don't see them being on another big run.
I agree with you. I think Ovechkin and Crosby, Ovechkin should get the same respect as Crosby. In that standpoint, if you have him, never count him out. But like, I just think the two teams are different. Like Pittsburgh has a reputation where if Crosby and Malkin are not in that lineup, they're still a pain in the ass to play against. Right. I don't know if would you agree that Washington is viewed the same way? Because I don't know.
Here's the weird thing, right? Is this season, I think, has sort of it showed evidence of well, first off, Ovechkin has been so healthy in his career that we haven't really seen it. But I think what you can look at the Capitals this year is they're within striking distance for second in that division right now. For third in that division right now. And we look, Backstrom missed a bunch of time. Oshie missed a bunch of time. Again, with that goaltending, I don't think people really look at them that way, but I think they've done enough this year to maybe prove that they do have. Anthony Mantha missed a bunch of time. You know what I mean? In that sort of way that they've shown it But it's just not the same. It was like, so I'll put my phone. Whoops, excuse that. But they don't have the thing of they haven't had to do it without Ovechkin and all those other guys where the Pens have. We saw at the beginning of the year, Evan Rodriguez, who has not scored in he's had one goal in his last 30 games or something. It's really bad. But he was so good to start the year. And that culture that we saw, and we saw what they did against the Leafs. Sorry to bring that up.
Fair.
But yeah, maybe the Caps don't have it, but I think they've shown it this year. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, remember 2016 when Pittsburgh won the cup? Ron Hainsey was there on their first pair.
Their defense was a skeleton crew.
I feel like he's a natural first pair. Pittsburgh, Toronto, Carolina.
No,
okay.
That, you can bring up 7-1. Ron Hainsey as a first pairing defenseman on the Leafs. That's my line.
Credit to Dubas, by the way, for the work he's done on that defense, by the way. Very, very quiet. And quality guys that you could see them building, maybe not Giordano because obviously he may be a rental, but in the short term, what that core of Muzzin and Brody will do to when those contracts are up, what you can see with Sandin and Liljegren and Niemela, depending on how he turns out in a couple of years. He's done a good job. He's done a real good job.
It's so I love when Leaf fans complain about the Leafs defense. And because if you think about it, man, go back. What did Dubas start with? Good Lord, it was
Gardner.
Horrible. It was nowhere.
Zaitsev.
It was nowhere near this, right? Okay, this might not be the best defense core in the league. I'm very well aware.
Pretty good,
but
though.
It's not anywhere close to what it was years ago. I promise. I promise.
It's an example of how it's not an overnight thing, and it's not just winning now, but it's winning over a period of time.
Right.
And it shows that there are cycles, and you can see the defense now. You can see the defense and what it looks like 3 years from now. You can see that he first had to clean. What's that saying of you don't see a GM's impact until 5 years later? You didn't. It's like what we kind of saw Jeff Gordon do in New York. Is first he had to clean up a lot of the previous regime's mess, and then started putting his guys together. And you can see a lot of the stuff this year were moves because of Jeff Gordon and not exactly what's going on in New York now. No offense to guys like Ryan Reeves and they brought in that'll help in the playoffs, but Barco Goudreau and that. But the core was built by a previous guy, and you're starting to see really this year what Dubas has done. And listen, I like Lamoriello. A monkey could have drafted Austin Matthews first overall. So let's calm down there, for example.
I think last year's team was Dubas's team. I think that was the first year we saw fully Dubas's team.
Fair enough.
I think this year we're just seeing a modified version of that, which again, I think I said it last episode, is a better team than last year's 100%. I put oh no, I don't even think it's a question that needs to be asked. This year's team is better than last year's.
Yeah.
They're 5 points away from breaking their single season points record with 10 games to go.
Did they not set that last year? Or the year
No,
before?
they set that 17-18.
17-8. Really? Okay. Never mind.
I think so. I'll just do double check, but I looked before.
Okay. Some other stuff when you look at it. So I think we can all agree after that Dallas Stars game that if anyone doubted the MVP race, it's Matthews now. That's completely changed. Last time I checked, Shesterkin was a 933, but it could be different now.
Oh no, a 933.
That's so bad.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, no. So let's think of it like this. No. Again, he was at a 940.
No, 100%.
He's still sensational. And I think if he allowed 2 goals in every game for the rest of the year, he was going to drop anyway. But it's him and Yossi's good, but it's on pace for 70 goals. Matthews, it doesn't matter. Alex, what do you think of Gary Galley?
Oh my gosh. I laughed when this was added in the doc.
No comments. No, I didn't add that in the doc, but I'm going to say no comment. What I will say though is give me more Harner Ryan Singh, man. That was good. Awesome. Oh man, it's very European esque. I don't know how to describe it. It's very different from others, like from like Chris Cuthbert, even Gord Miller. It's just different. It's not like that. And I enjoyed it very much. So I'd very much like him on my broadcast more.
No comment on Gary Galley because maybe he should make less comments during the game.
Okay. Yeah. No, that. Well, let's go with that. I like.
He's trying to fill airtime, guys. I sympathize with him.
Let the play-by-play guy do that. Let the play-by-play guy do that.
Let the play breathe. Let the play breathe.
It's almost as bad as McGuire.
It was. Can you believe it? Yes,
I can because when you look at how the play developed, this all starts with this play when the guy should have chipped it out instead of trying to make it fit. Matthew Knives, this is from Elliot Freeman on 32 Thoughts last night. Matthew Knives is going to meet with the Leafs in the coming days to discuss his future. Now, Freeman sort of used the term unfinished business when looking at Knives going back to school next year. His team should still be good and all that, and there's maybe some reinforcements coming and all that. I forget who does he. He's not in Michigan, is he? Is he Minnesota? Minnesota, yeah. I mean, yes, but when you look at like a lot of the Minnesota guys who are coming to the NHL potentially, maybe you can see that window opening for Minnesota. Shout out to Colorado for winning the for winning a national title.
Denver, University of Denver.
Denver, I knew that. It's because I was watching the Colorado game as it happened, and they were like, they were playing so well defensively, and then I saw some people live tweeting the actual game, and they said that Denver played one good period. I was like,
they had 6, I think, NHL prospects. I think the highest one was Bobby Brink.
I saw they had like 6 shots halfway through the game. I'm like, oh.
Did you see what happened with the Hobey Baker? And
Devin Levi is goalie of the year in the NCAA. But he wasn't given the Hobey Baker, but a different goalie was giving it. So the goalie of the year was not the goalie who won MVP.
So I read about this. So apparently it's just speculation it's proven in who's been given the award, but not in the actual, I guess, nominations for it. But they just apparently overvalue senior players.
Oh, he's a senior. Is that it?
Yeah, like seniors are usually the ones that always get the Hobey Baker.
Except last year.
But how do you have a different goalie?
So, because what is Devin Levi? Is Devin Levi a second year, or is he a sophomore?
He had like a weird trajectory because he missed like 1 year after, because apparently during the World Juniors he played injured, and then he was out for a season.
So this is probably his. So it's his sophomore. Is that second year sophomore?
This is his. Yeah, that was his second season. He missed last year.
That is so stupid. So stupid.
But I don't get it. That seems
apparently
I don't understand.
And I was reading on this as well that the last time something like this happened was, I think, Ryan Miller won the Hobey Baker, and then he still returned to school after. So there's something about that. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's like at least fine. I can live with that. But like, you had goaltender of the year Devin Levi, and then you had Hobey Baker winner. I lost his name there. Dryden McKay win the Hobey Baker. What's the Hobey Baker award for?
Isn't it like most outstanding NCAA player?
Yeah.
And what's the best goalie awarded for?
Probably the best goalie in the NCAA.
Okay.
So there was a better goalie than the MVP who was a goalie. So is there some stupid thing of most valuable to their team or something? That's so weird to think. Okay, well, that's why it's just
I was gonna say something but was Devin Levi the best player on his team?
Jordan Harris was there, right?
Yeah.
It's like Igor Shesterkin winning the Vezina and then Andrei Vasilevsky winning the Hart. It's like, but what?
I saw listen, I don't want to keep picking on Dom Lucians, but I saw his model. There were 2 things. So he had his rookie projection things, and it was like Bunting was number 2 in the Calder, and Liljegren was Bunting 1, Liljegren 2, and I was like, okay, no. And I saw his Hart thing and had Vasilevsky ahead of Shesterkin. I'm like, no.
I had Fredrik Anderson.
Yeah, you had Freddie Anderson ahead of him too, and I was like, what? Excuse me?
I'd like to think back because I know that, and I'm looking back on our quiz segments that one of my questions was who won the Vezina and the Hart, and it was Carey Price and then Jose Theodore. But I'm trying to think, was there ever a goalie that won the Hart but did not win the Vezina?
Really weird, wouldn't it? That'd be really weird.
Good question. We'll find out. Let's answer it for next episode.
Okay, are you writing it down, Alex?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But Matthew Knives, that'll be exciting.
I love that they really hit on that pick. That a lot of these NCAA like stashed picks, they've been working out pretty well for the Leafs.
The NCAA is coming, by the way. They're coming.
Yeah.
CHL needs to watch out.
I mean, it did help last year, right? That the NCAA played, and the CHL
not just that, man.
They've been
that 2019 draft.
They've been coming. They've definitely been coming. But I think last year, like that definitely hurt many guys' draft value. Like the fact that they missed an entire season.
So I look across the league. Ottawa, one of the biggest things, their captain is okay. I always get confused with this because the Kachucks are weird. I'm pretty sure Brady Tkachuk plays under the American flag, right? Jake Sanderson, big name is American. The Canadians, oh, look at this. Their biggest star right now is an American. The Leafs, oh, look at this. Their biggest star is an American right now. Calgary, another Tkachuk in there. Johnny Gaudreau, a few Americans. The Canucks are a bit of an outlier. Wait, no, they're an American defenseman on the back end, an American goaltender, sensational. The Oilers are a bit different because they got a really good Canadian and the German. Fair enough. The Jets, Blake Wheeler, their captain, American. Mark Scheifele is a loser, doesn't count. I know that. I'm just saying, like it's neat. Yeah. It's neat.
John Gibson.
Yep. John Gibson. Did you? Alex, were you here? No, you weren't here. What do you think of my prediction that one of Hellebuck or Gibson will be Leafs next year?
Yeah, I heard that. That's an interesting take. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but let's. I'll let you have that one. We'll find out.
If it happens, how about you buy me a pizza?
Sure. Wait, a slice of pizza or an entire pizza? I'll say yes either way. I just want to know. Okay.
I won't be a dick about it. Yeah, how about like the smallest size pepperoni thin crust, extra cheese?
Okay.
Extra cheese.
Where do you want it?
That's an added price.
Pizzaville. Yeah, but if he gets a Vezina caliber
is there a
goalie,
Pizzaville downtown?
There's a Pizzaville where I live, so you can wire me the money.
There's also a Pizzaville near Dufferin and Steeles, so it's like in the halfway point between Alex and I.
Okay, well, this is.
It'll be cold by we get the Pickering.
Very good. Jonathan Druid is out for the year. Officially, he had surgery on Friday to repair a torn ligament in his wrist, which is awful. He's expected back for training camp. Man, Druid cannot catch a break. No. I wonder if he gets traded before training camp. I don't know if they have to like a sweetener type thing, but man, Jonathan Druid cannot catch a break. It's so unfortunate.
How many years left does he have on his contract?
I believe he's a UFA next year.
Okay.
When I saw that news, oh man, I just didn't think he was going to get traded. Like that's a tough one.
Unless it's a cap dump.
Unless it's a cap dump. Hello, Arizona.
He is a UFA next year, by the way. Why does he have a modified no trade clause? Okay, 3-team no trade list. That's not bad. Not bad. Never mind.
But yeah, no, I just thought that's going to be tough to trade because he did have a little bit of a bounce back, and then again things, and of no fault of his own, things just did not go well. That's why I thought that's going to be difficult to trade. I think we talked about a buyout a few weeks ago, but again, like are they going to do that? Are they going to buy him out?
Hughes and Gordon seem like the type of guys that are very patient and like to evaluate everything at a point.
Right.
And I wonder if they think they have seen enough of Jonathan Druid to evaluate the type of player he is. I would guess no. He didn't play a lot under Marty St. Louis, and when he did, he looked kind of lost, which doesn't. Maybe a full training camp would be better for that, but I keep rooting for the guy, and it just doesn't help.
I wonder if they do keep him though, right? and say, okay, let's keep Jonathan Druid. You give, like you said, you give him a full training camp under St. Louis. And what's your expectation for next season for the Montreal Canadiens? Are they going to be sellers at the deadline?
They are. Yeah.
Okay. So if things go well, you may or may not be able to get something for Jonathan Druid. Because right now, like you say, if you're trading him in the summer, what are you getting back?
Nothing. Probably a conditional pick from the Suns.
Maybe, yeah. Something like that.
Maybe even a third.
To me, it would make more sense to at least ride it out. If things work out, things work out. And if they don't, you go your separate ways next summer. That's just me, though.
A quick note, by the way, about that Leafs Devils game earlier in the week. I just wanted to say one thing. The Devils really need a goaltender. They had Hammond in, who, God bless Andrew Hammond, I love the guy, was not great against the Habs. The Devils allowed a lot of good chances. They're actually a very high-scoring team, by the way. Another rated guy we haven't talked a lot about is Jesper Bratt, who apparently people are saying maybe gets offer sheeted. Probably isn't going to happen because this league sucks.
Underlying star numbers, according to, what is it? JF Fresh?
J Fresh.
He's been really good, man. He's like a 5th round pick. So we'll see what happens with the Devils. But if they can just get, I refuse to believe Dougie Hamilton's this bad.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. I think everyone is sleeping on Dougie Hamilton right now.
It's like they're ignoring every part of his career when he's been a good, even if he's not top 3 defenseman in the league that he looked like in Carolina, it's Dougie Hamilton. Let's calm down here. His ability to walk the blue line and shoot the puck the way he does. Not to mention their head coach is Lindy Ruff. What are you doing?
They're ignoring the fact that he got injured.
That's true. Yes. People are the disrespect to Dougie is unbearable. Jeff Skinner has 30 goals this year.
Wow.
We all called it. I
told them so.
Is the contract worth it?
No, still no. Of course, no.
It is.
It is awful.
More than worth it.
It is not good. It is a horrible contract. But it helps that he's scoring 30 goals. I mean, who thought Jeff Skinner would be a Sabre longer than Jack Eichel?
Wow,
no
hot
one.
Take. But that's good. I like that.
I mean, it's just it's weird.
I don't. It's do you feel like the Sabres are just? I don't know. I'm not saying they're at the Carolina Hurricanes having fun level, but because they were actually a contender, but they're getting there. You know what I mean? There's a different atmosphere with this team. Tage Thompson even spoke about it. Dylan Cousins spoke about it. So there is hope in Buffalo.
I think everyone going into next year needs to just temper expectations with the Sabres. That's just let's stay calm.
Yeah, no. To me, it's what's happening in Buffalo seems eerily similar to what's happening in Montreal in terms of at least they look excited to be there, because last year before Don Granato was coach, no one looked like they wanted to be there.
Isn't it crazy? I'm looking back at this now. It's been obvious, but we didn't mention it, that for 2 teams that are technically in full rebuilds right now, they had that one season where they tried to bank on everything and try to be contender right away. And it's Arizona and Buffalo, and they both had Taylor Hall. Acquiring Taylor Hall to try to do that.
That's very strange. I'm very curious. I want to look at Taylor Hall's stats this year. Taylor Hall. Because he's been very quiet, guys. Do you want to guess how many goals Taylor Hall has on the year?
25.
25.
11.
He has 16 goals, 54 points for a second line player. That's fine. And 71 games played. I think if he had a proper center with him, I think you could see him in the 20 goal mark. But 20 goals, 60 points, maybe that's a real expectation of what a healthy Taylor Hall can be. But yeah, maybe we all got to simmer it down and realize he's not an MVP level to talent anymore. But yeah,
you're gonna retcon that MVP or
fair.
Yeah, but hey, I mean,
Who is he centered with?
Eric Holla, maybe?
Yeah, Eric Holla. But he does play with David Pastrnak when he's healthy.
That helps. Is Craig Smith on the top line still?
No. Guess who's on the top line with Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron?
Nika?
Connor Clifton.
Nope.
Trent Frederick.
No. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. Who?
Jake DeBrusk.
Oh
man, he's so gonna eliminate the Leafs. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Oh man, of course, I guess so. Boston.
But where's our boy Jack Studnicka stacking up?
Yeah, is he even playing?
No.
So where's Craig Smith?
Third line, Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederick.
It's not a bad third line.
Yeah, it's an expensive third line.
Yeah, but the Bruins doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they make it work.
And Nick Foligno's on the fourth line. Man, that was bad takes for me last year.
Everyone going on about the Nick Foligno thing. You know what? Everyone gets one. Everyone gets one.
I've had more than one.
We all.
I think I said something in the summer where I said technically the Leafs won. I know, like people like this is like revisionist history because I'm like the Leafs won because they got Andre Kasha and Nick Ritchie with that cap hit.
What?
Okay, so what happened was when Nick Foligno went to Buffalo, people were like, oh, see, I mean, he went to Boston, sorry. And people said, oh, look, the Leafs gave away a first that became Carson Kuhlman's for Nick Foligno. And he only played a few games. But I argued that with the money that was saved by not signing Nick Foligno, they got Andre Kasha and Nick Ritchie. And then Lyubushkin was taken from the Nick Ritchie.
They signed the guy who played 2 games last year.
Okay, but it worked out.
Andre Kasha,
you have that one.
Andre Kasha was one injury away from playing overseas, I bet.
So I cannot make a trade, or not a trade tree, a signing tree. Of Lyubushkin and Kasha for
they traded the first and they didn't win the round. They lost.
Daniel, stop. Daniel,
it's not worth it.
I'm trying to be
Daniel.
the optimist
No, you're not allowed. I will deny you the optimism.
More good news in Buffalo, by the way. Owen Power signed, and apparently his debut is going to be against the Leafs, not tomorrow, but the day after.
That means they will win.
Yeah, of course. He'll score
He's
a goal.
Chosen 25.
What?
He's chosen number 25.
That's weird. That's a weird number.
For a defenseman,
that's a very strange number.
It's like
Columbus,
a left winger.
That's or Ryan Paling, weird number. Kent Johnson also signs with Columbus. Guy picked pretty well up in the draft last offseason too. That's pretty cool. Do we know what's up with Matty Beniers yet? Is he expected to sign?
I remember hearing that's the expectation, but it might be a few days.
Yeah, that stacked team. I think it's because Luke Hughes, I don't think is signing yet. Yeah. And Eric Portillo, who was the goalie, he's a Buffalo draft pick, is expected to return to Michigan.
They'll still be good next year. They got some players. They
had like 7 or 8 first rounders this year. Like
they still didn't win.
Like, oh my God. It's disgusting.
The Rangers clinched last night. Chris Kreider's at 49 goals. Gross. Very
ridiculous.
Gross.
It's crazy.
He's a good player, eh?
Yeah. No, yeah. Who would have thought 49 goal scorer, Chris Kreider? 50 goal scorer, Chris Kreider.
It makes me sick. It just makes me sick. Okay. But yeah, the Rangers, good for them.
Did he do something?
Oh, they've clinched as well.
Did he do something? I'm just joking.
Did he? Really? Really? It was 3-1, Alex. Get over it.
I'm not mad about it anymore. I'm over it.
You sarcastically mentioned Chris Kreider killing Carey Price for a playoff. How dare you?
Did you see the?
I've been through 5 first round losses. That I don't even flinch at 3-1.
Okay, you spoke to Mike recently. I don't know if this was a subtle thing he did.
We're in a group chat together.
Okay, but you know when
you're right there.
You know when the Leafs said the Leafs Twitter said ticket punched.
Yeah.
For the clinching of playoffs, Mike also put ticket punch. See you there. Smiley face. # New York Rangers. When the Rangers clinch their spots, I'm like, was that a thing against the Leafs?
I mean, it's a normal saying, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. Like, no other team said it.
No, but
Florida didn't say it.
Yeah, but who cares about Florida?
Mike. Mike has a complicated relationship with the Leafs.
Not just the Leafs, with all of us.
For about the first 4 months after he decided he wasn't going to be a Leafs fan. Adam, you were there. You were there when you saw this. He had the Leafs as his phone background.
He did.
Wow.
He did.
You know what it reminds me of?
Noted Leafs fan.
You know the song from Rihanna?
Which one?
That I hate that I love you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That
You
there it
hate
is.
that you love Mike?
No, it's for his love of the Leafs. No, with Mike, it's all love from all of us.
I don't think he loves. I genuinely don't think he's a Leafs fan anymore.
Okay.
I haven't believed. I at the start of the year thought that he was joking, but he has very easily proved to me that he doesn't care. Elliot Friedman had a little baby blog, a little nugget blog.
A mere 12 hours after we recorded.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Thanks,
Elliot.
The NHLPA's response to the Kyle Beach stuff, the whole investigation, apparently that's going to be completed in the near future. Apparently, Don LaFleur says, head of the PA. Apparently, Fier is confident that players are going to be protected against the revenue losses from the Coyote stuff. But what's interesting that was in the blog, but in the last couple of days, Friedman's been talking a lot about the idea that that the players aren't too pleased with Don Fier for apparently not being aggressive enough with this Coyotes thing. Also about a possible succession idea. I've been really frustrated listening to this, honestly, the past couple of days, because it feels like a lot of players just don't seem to care, or either Don Fier refuses. Apparently, he was using the media to not answer some questions. I was just thinking to myself, can we kick the, I hate saying that, I really do, but I'm using it the second time in 3 episodes. Can we kick this dinosaur to the curb here? If it is discovered that this guy did not handle the Kyle Beach stuff definitively, that he did not handle it properly, get him out and get somebody viable and who's going to fight for the freaking players. They need such a change.
And I agree with you 100%. And I think this, and we'll find out about that report, but this very much lies. It's on the player. It's not on the players that this is happening. What I mean is it's now on the players to decide if they want to make that change or not. Right? They're the only, the agents can only tell their players so much. It doesn't mean that they're going to listen. But the only way Don Fier is gone is if the players decide that Don Fier is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So freaking frustrating, man. What good has he done? They couldn't convince. There was a thing of
he got Olympics,
and then didn't go.
Yeah.
Great, congratulations! You got the Olympics, and you didn't go. I just don't know the job he's done. He hasn't protected players. They haven't done it at all. Do we know about the support systems that real retired players have? Oh, wait, no, it goes down to the Alumni Foundation, not the PA. They're just disgusting. It's an awful group. And we know, it's been talked about by Friedman and Merrick, that agents have apparently tried to go after Don Fier, and there hasn't been enough support. And I'm going to say it out. It is on the player. This is 100% on the players that it's fallen to this level. Because they give too much a crap about the money than opposed to the actual game itself. I'm not surprised by it, but it's sickening.
And we talked about it on the podcast before. The many of times that we see the NHLPA take action, it has to do with money. And I understand. I get it.
Kroger.
But they were real quick to jump on top of any what about jersey ads and what does that do and how is that okay, cool, I get it, but there's more to it. How about you want to do something about head hits as the National Hockey League Players Association? Are you there for the players or are you not? I get it, you have a responsibility to the players, the other side as well, I guess, right? Okay, if we remove head hits, or is Ryan Reeves, I don't know, as the game becomes less quote unquote aggressive, there are certain guys who are not going to be in the league. Like, okay, I kind of get you have an obligation to them, but at the same time, science has proven that head hits are bad. Like,
there is a very good episode of Agent Provocateur that just came out. They had Ken Dryden on it. To open the show, Alan Walsh talks about a client of his, maybe in the former one. He didn't give specifics, obviously. And it's a very sad story. It's clearly it's results of head injuries, and this player had concussions, and it's a must listen. I know we give Adam Wild a lot of crap, but the work him and Alan do on Agent Provocateur is so good. Yeah. And it just opens your eyes. It just makes me sad, you know. There is the stuff about we can yell about, you know, not calling trips and all that, but then like you just hear about how some players are left in the dust by the PA, and you just get so disappointed by it. They need to. I hope that this new generation that comes in can take the time to really sit down and fix this game properly, and the people who are running it, because the NHL needs to modernize a bit, because it feels so oftentimes, and we've had this discussion about like the demographic they're trying to reach. Like, where does this league want to be in 5 years, 10 years? And I just don't mean like, oh, we want to be a team in Houston and Kansas City. Like, in the grand scheme of things, what do you want to be known as in the league? You know what I mean? Like, what's Gary Bettman's legacy going to be, for example? What's Don Fear's legacy going to be? It's not very good to a lot of people.
Well, I mean, we can answer the question about what this league currently is. It's very much a copycat league. When was the last time the NHL made a decision that wasn't like, not in terms of the game itself, but from a marketing or any other type of perspective? When was the last time the NHL very much made a decision on its own that someone else didn't already do?
Who was the first league to sort of start playing games overseas, like in China and that? Would the NBA have been up ahead of them there?
I think it's the MLB.
MLB? Okay, yeah. So they weren't there. Plus, not to mention, they stopped going to a lot of overseas games. I think they're still going to Scandinavia and that, but they kind of gave up on the China stuff, which that's a whole mess. But, you know, they've sort of let the KHL sort of start taking like a head start there. I'm trying to think. Obviously, the stuff when George Floyd happened, they were the last league to respond. They were the last league to cancel of the big four. I'm pretty sure once COVID shut down, they waited for the NBA first, of course. Well, even the NCAA were ahead of everyone there when March Madness got canceled. I'm trying to think what are the big decisions that happened around the league. I mean, can we give them credit for being the first team in Vegas? I think you can say that.
Sure.
Seattle was already a big market. We knew they wanted to go to for a while. I think Vegas is the one thing they have. And I think they got lucky that goaltending saved that team to the finals. But I mean, you know, I the one thing I can really give them credit for is how Vegas turned out. But off the top of my head, no. Everything else, I can't think of anything. I can't.
Like, within the league itself, they're copycats. Like, how many times have we seen teams copy what the Stanley Cup winning team had previously done?
Oh yeah, how they were built.
The Canucks, and how the Canucks tried to be the Bruins.
That ruined the Canucks
until recently, and they're still kind of feeling effects of that. Yeah, it's not.
I was gonna say the Coyote situation, but actually is not, because in the NBA, David Stern, when he was commissioner, actually took over of the Hornets on their behalf when they were defaulting on a lot of things. And I'm like, okay, so the Coyotes is not even a first thing. Like, the Coyote situation is not even a first thing the NHL is dealing with. They're not the first league.
When did Michael Jordan start getting involved with Charlotte, by the way? Because he owns them now, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, this was when they were the New Orleans Hornets before, and then it was still the Bobcats, and then the commissioner took over as owner of the team on their behalf, and then he had to deal with a lot of things of them losing money. So it's not a first for the NHL with the Coyotes.
Hey, the two women's leagues, go figure yourselves out. That's the best advice they could give. And hey, look, what the women's leagues have not been able to accomplish in making two, like one set, like together league, the thing they haven't been able to do for how long is still not getting done. And the one thing the NHL can do is, go figure it out. Like, you're sticking two kids in the room. Like, be responsible. You're the big game in town. You can't even do that.
If you're going to copy something from other leagues, copy the NBA with their women's leagues.
Oh, it's so frustrating. Go listen to that episode we have with Will, by the way. What a great episode that
was. I mean, after all this, I don't want the NHL involved in women's hockey because, and I think we had the discussion before, but I guess just to add on to that, the previous discussion, I think the women's game has a lot more personality than the NHL.
Sarah Nurse is great.
Like,
I love also at the game yesterday for the Jays.
Of course. She's Sarah Nurse. She's great. Natalie Spooner in that. Like, come on now.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely has quite a bit of personality that the NHL unfortunately lacks by their own doing very much so. So that's why I would not want the NHL involved in women's hockey in its current state and the NHL's current state.
We had a multiple time finalist for GM of the year nailing a culture into the Habs saying, don't show your personality. Like, what? Who also traded a guy who was big on personality and was a former defenseman of the year in PK Subban. Like that's the type of people, and that they're almost encouraged to run teams or guys within. Not even to mention, like, he was part of Chicago and all of that happened. And okay, didn't mean to end the show in such a depressing way, but
it had to be talked about.
I can't wait to have a discussion on officiating once the playoffs start. And everyone like, but the number of penalties goes up. Yeah, but stop it. You're not using the data properly. Now we can look at analytics. Shut up. Okay. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. All our stuff is all linked below, as Alex always does. YouTube for me, Alex Nighthawk stuff, Daniel CGRU, all that lovely stuff. Check out the show wherever you listen to podcasts or, all that type of stuff. Check out on YouTube, TikTok. Everyone loves the TikTok, don't they? They love Sidney Crosby on the TikTok, especially, don't they, guys? Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. Next time we speak, maybe Carey Price will have played. Matthews may have 90 goals. Who knows? Maybe even 1,000. Maybe one day Sportsnet will talk about a second team. And maybe Gary Galley will learn to let the commentator do his job. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.